You are listening to the Rainmaker's Power Hour. Join your hosts, Wendy Butler, Lyann, and Macy Nelson, as they interview the most successful entrepreneurs from around the world who are sharing their proven strategies to help take your business to the next level.
Well, welcome everyone to the Rainmaker's Power Hour, the first episode of August 2025. Cannot believe it's August. That is wild. We are on Chatter Social app. We love all of you on YouTube. We've got it streaming everywhere, but there's only one way to get in the conversation, and that's right here in Chatter Social. So as much as we love our audience everywhere, if you want to get in the conversation, you want to get in the mix, you want to talk, first time you're going to get to talk to somebody like Julie. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have Julie on. I can't even hardly contain myself. I know, Julie, there's going to be so many questions for you. There's only one way somebody can ask a question, and that's what they get on Chatter to do it here. So if you haven't done that, do it now. We're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Wendy Butler, our beautiful, fearless leader and host of the podcast. Then we've got the credit ninja, Lyann, as a co-host. I am Macy, and we've got an amazing guest. And Wendy and Credit, I know that you guys want to say a few things about Julie. I mean, the list is long. We don't know how you're going to manage introducing such a dynamic personality, but I think Credit's going to try to put her hand up to see if she can do it justice. So Lyann, please let everybody know who we've got on tonight.
Welcome, Julie. We want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Rainmaker podcast. If you have the video on, you can see this. William and Harry is our official sponsor for Rainmaker podcast every Tuesday and at all of our events, jet parties and networking. We're going to go through all this stuff with our guest today, Julie Lamb. She's a big super connector. I'm going to hand this off to Wendy Butler. Anything relating to golf, gear, athletic wear, hit them up. William and Harry, it's going to be on all of our links. Go ahead, Wendy.
Thank you. Welcome, Julie Lamb, to the show. So excited to have you here. Julie is a super connector. Let's go through a few things she's done. I mean, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, but founder of NFT, VIP, CEO of Roosevelt Houston Trust, co-founder of Hamptons Mastermind and Women on Wall Street, works alongside Market Rebellion at their events. That's actually how you and I met over there with Mark Lopresti, also Lopresti, John Najarian, and Pete Najarian. And before all of that, he was in marketing for 30 years with huge companies like Disney and Hasbro. Welcome to the show, Julie. We're so happy to have you.
I love this when us ladies can get together. And I have to say, all you gentlemen who are here in the room, we love our ambassadors. So please keep showing up to our rooms. We need you. We need your support. We enjoy having a very big, diverse community here. And the fact that I have 3 other ladies that said, hey, let's just get together for an hour, drink some late afternoon coffee because we can't help ourselves, right? And be able to have a conversation about all things curiosity seeking. I am in, ladies. Let's go.
So excited to have you here. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about was that you were 30 years into marketing, and then you started to pivot and get into NFT, future tech, and community building. How did that start? What happened there?
You know, it's interesting because I never really see anything as a pivot. In my world, it's all been the same thing. I'm a musician by trade. I'm a trained classical musician. And when it comes to having the spark of an idea to something that you're thinking about creating, to then creating it, putting it in prototype, making the prototype, go to market. How do you sell it? Does it sell for full price? From a musician standpoint, I had a lot of friends who would fall into certain traps. Like, I don't want to sell out. Or I'm like, that's a bunch of BS. You don't want an empty seat in the house. You do want to sell out the venue. So you want to think a little more like a business person as opposed to only an artist. You just want to create all the time. So my whole world always started with the twofer, the artist and the business person. And it wasn't out of the fact that I wanted to do it that way. I didn't have anybody else that jumped into the game with me. It was me finding a manager, me finding an agent, me finding club owners, me finding band members. And I'm saying this because I realized it was the beginning of the fire in the belly. But once I started that journey, I realized there were other people like you ladies out there, other fire in the belly people. There are agents and managers and bandmates that wanted to come in on someone who had the fire in their belly. We were going to sell out the house. We were going to pack the place. We were going to make the venue have a line out the door and down the street. The idea of marketing came in. It was music and marketing were always my two passions in school, and being trained that way, knowing that that was really my sustainability in the beginning. Corporations started tapping into it. In the beginning, agents that I worked with didn't want to know that I did something else. A music agent wanted you to be a music agent. Fashion agent wanted you to stay with fashion. Acting wanted you to stay with acting. And your corporate clients that you're working with didn't want to know that you did any of those because they wanted your schedule to stay open. So you had to dance this line of learning. Again, it's all that same thing. Conception to completion. From anything from fashion to music to corporations, anything I did with a message that I wanted to be evergreen or timely, always fell within that scope. So it's not really a pivot. Thankfully, nowadays, we can do a lot with minimal tools that we didn't have access to. Back in the day when I was recording, we were still using 3-inch tape and cutting it with a razor. The fact that I would build outboard gear and splice wires and do D88 tapes and anything that was slightly digital was so far in the future. When we jumped to about 10 years ago, I've always been an investor. So I would take the little bits of money that I made from music or marketing gigs, and I would start putting that into real estate. And my family comes from a real estate background. And I said, if I'm going to invest, I'm going to look at different ways that how can I, as an investor, really step into the space? And we said this before, Wendy, in our conversation earlier in the day, that if it hits certain pillars, then I'm so excited about making something happen in my life. So, and we'll get into those pillars with a few of the other questions, but I don't really think it's too much of a pivot. I think it's an evolution of our technology to support the ability for us to stay connected, like here on Chatter Social. This is a new platform for everyone to come onto, and it's coming off of the heels of Clubhouse, Instagram Live, LinkedIn Live, all of these tools that allowed me as an artist or someone in the business to continue on with minimal overhead. Back in the day, we had offices. Now we have our cell phones. Our cell phones do everything. So the fact that, again, how would you say it's a real pivot going from a phone on the wall when you had to do that dial, which tells you how old I am, right? With the dial, and you wished you could go back and redo that number you made a mistake on. Now we can, how easy is it to pick up our phones and just connect with you ladies here on Chatter Social?
Well, I can totally see why they call you the super connector. I can totally see why you get the name curator of magic. I heard that. I was like, that is the best nickname I have ever heard. How did you get, where did those nicknames come? How do you feel about those nicknames? What does that mean to you that they call you the super connector?
I love the idea, but someone kept saying that over and over again. I said, if I were to say what I do, it almost sounds like, where do you put that on a business card? When you're a super connector or a storyteller connector, you just put magic pixie dust fairy person on your business card, then you look all foo-foo. But when you're someone who solves problems and helps companies share their message, not just a company once or twice. I have clients that are 30 years long with me. Plus, I have some great friends like you ladies that I've met recently. But you know what? I can't wait till 30 years from now when we're all sitting in our rocking chairs laughing about the fact that, wow, remember when Chatter Social back in the day only had a few 100,000 users? Now look at what's happening or where our businesses are going. So it was a name, I think, that I asked someone to, how would you describe me? And someone said, I think you're really a super connector. And I think because I've always had my finger on that pulse of what's going out there, and then being able to put capital where it's needed or put people together. If I knew, Macy, that you were looking for, let's just make it super fluff right now. If you were going to a wedding and you wanted to look fabulous and you had just worn out all of your places in your local hometown to look for dresses and you were coming to New York City to have coffee with me, I would set up in 2 seconds, friends of mine who are designers. We would go have coffee, try on dresses. You'd take 3 home and realize, oh, wow, over the years, I've met designers, songwriters, business people, ladies like you who are doing fabulous things.
I love your fire and your passion. The digital space is amazing, as we all know. You've touched on that a little bit ago, how convenient it is. but some people call it saturated, but you have been able to light a fire in people in your digital spaces, right? You set their soul on fire. How do you do that? What's your secret recipe?
That's a really good question.
And I think we all know, and it seems like you have all the right ingredients to light the community up. How do you do that?
Well, Macy, that's not fair because, when we had our little girl time and, when we were together last, we got quite fire in the belly for sure. When we went all over in conversations, right?
I think you're just one of those people that light people up. I just love it.
Because I had to be my own cheerleader, it was really important for me to be that person for other people, but not in a way that's inauthentic. It has to come from how I feel when I walk into a room. Mind you, I'm not all like up with people, right? Sometimes if you catch me on a bad day, I can be some salt for sure. I'm not 100% when it comes to positive. But when I walk into a room, it feels good when someone remembers my name. It feels good that someone remembers the things that I like. And so I try to approach everything I do with that. I try to listen, being present. When you're around someone who is so present and you feel that they're right there with you, that can't help but inspire you to say, I'm going to do that to someone else. It's that ripple effect. I've had fabulous mentors in my life that have believed in me along the way, but it started with me believing in myself. If I meet someone, there's a little bit of a shadow of doubt. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I don't do self-deprecation. If it's there, there's probably other help that's out there. But if you're someone who's stuck, not quite sure where to go, not quite sure how to get there, you've got spaces like this to come to say, I'm just going to go get a little sparkle. And I'm going to see where that, almost like an ember, right? We'll give you a little ember. It's up to you to fan the flames and make your own fire out of it. But I think it stems to the fact that I treat people like I want to be treated, a little bit like the golden rule.
It's like the human element. You've got that down, right? You're bringing human to the digital space, right? Because you just glow of authenticity. I know I'm slugging it as I just get excited sometimes, Julie, and you excite me.
I gotta jump in.
I get excited. Credit's like, I question.
But Julie, you look very familiar to me. Were you ever on Clubhouse at all?
It's interesting. Yes. And
Okay.
but Clubhouse is all voices, right? So
Yeah.
with Clubhouse, it's interesting because I said to all of my friends on X and in the other spaces when I put out the call to action, because the best part about this room is sharing this room. I'm still new to being here on Chatter. So if anyone is not following the speakers here or not following anybody in the room, and that's something that you can do, I would love to have some new friends here on Chatter. Just know you'll be my OG friends for sure. I have quite a few of an audience in X, a very big audience in Instagram. And then beyond and beyond, I have my tentacles run deep for sure. I reached out to some folks on X and shared this, and I'm super excited. What I did say to them was I used the verbiage credit. I said it's a little bit like Clubhouse meets X Spaces meets Instagram and LinkedIn Live.
But I was
Exactly. I just want to say that. And Nelson Apega, the creator of the app, is in the room today. So welcome, Nelson Apega. Thank you for providing us with this amazing platform so that we can interview Julie and all the special guests that we have. So thanks, Nelson, for coming in today. And
thank you guys for always bringing great content. Rainmakers. This is awesome. Thank you.
We love it, Nelson. Wendy and I always try to encourage people. We have a lot of followers on all the other platforms, but if you missed it in the beginning, the only way you can get in the conversation and talk to the amazing guests we have is on Chatter. So if you're listening or seeing this on YouTube or X, get on the app. Get in the conversation. We're going to take some Q&A at the end of this. You have your opportunity to ask Miss Julie anything you want. All right, Wendy, I know you had a question.
it's kind of
Over you, Julie.
I have a
We're
quick
fighting
question
over-
for her. Julie, I was kind of spying around on your Instagram. You're connected to Swan Sit. Swan Sit is a friend of yours. We spent a lot of time on the previous app, and she's an amazing NFT person. Tell me, at that time when Clubhouse was going on, NFT blew up like really crazy. People were getting into it. They were investing in it. John Legere bought something that's an NFT for like, I don't know, a million. He sold it for a few million. Where is it now? Because I see it kind of died away. Can you give us an update on how you started in NFT, building that community? What's the movement on that? Has it gone away? Is it coming back? What do we need to know? How do we get involved?
So it's interesting. You mentioned Swansit. Swansit is quite a powerhouse woman. And if you want to have her on the show, I would love to see her on. If not, I will connect you with her. She is amazing. She was one of the biggest Clubhouse personalities, and she is out there on the road. She worked with big brands and brands that were not in the Web3 space. We have very similar footprints in that we work with big brands, and then Future Tech comes in, and we both understood instantaneously that creator economy. That's what got me involved in the idea of blockchain technology. That's what made me invest early days, 2015, in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Back in the day, I went down the rabbit hole because as an artist first, everything to me is rooted in the arts. And for me, the idea of a piece of art in perpetuity, being able to give that artist their intellectual property rights at a certain percentage back in the day, 20%, whatever it happened to be on OpenSea, when you were selling something time and time again, instantly opened my mind to the idea of what blockchain technology could do to solve the problem that had long stayed within the industry that I've been involved in, from the arts to corporations to having autonomy to owning your own data. And what does that mean? How did I get involved and where is it going? When I see NFTs, I see it not only as an acronym, I see it as a true word, which is non-fungible token, or I like to say NAPs, like NFT apps, and something that you can't change once it's minted on the blockchain. So California law, driver's licenses, marriage certificates, these are things that are on the blockchain. They could be considered NFTs. Title to your house can be considered an NFT. So the idea of, I'm going to call it like the gateway of arts for us to look at NFTs, now knowing that you actually can own your own ticket to an event. Really simple. NFT VIP is an immersive ticketing solution. And we are the opposite of what a Ticketmaster is. Although Ticketmaster is great, we know we can go to these fabulous venues. Within that Ticketmaster ecosystem, there are a lot of fabulous things for artists, and there are some things that stay within that business model that maybe some artists want to break free from. So there might be an artist like we've worked with Beyonce and Santana, and we just did a big concert in Yellowstone. It was called Wild Bill Days with Poison and Twisted Sister. We've got 5 soccer stadiums coming online. What about these stadiums and these entities that want to continually own their own IP rights and want to release something outside of the ecosystem they're already committed to, either manager, agent, but they want to stay connected to their audience? And being able to do that with something that's not changeable, hence non-fungible, allows you to connect deeper with your fan base that's there, blows me out of the water for the idea of being able to share pictures, videos. You come to a Beyonce concert and your backstage pass with a QR code might unlock your ability to download music that stays within that ticket with high fidelity that's soul-bound, which means you can't sell it on the marketplace. So now that person or that entity is not going against any of the other copyright. Or what about Taylor Swift, who, when she had her masters that were purchased by someone and she didn't have the opportunity to own her own work, she went back through and re-recorded those songs. I think that when you have this new future tech world, and I get the idea of thinking, are NFTs back? Are they around? The technology that's there that is blockchain based that you cannot change, and how people are choosing to use the technology is what is phenomenally inspiring. And I like to use this example, and I'm also an investor in the company, so that's full transparency. But I've had her up on stage as a woman named Genevieve Lavelle. If you've been in the United States and you've had a mango from Haiti in the last 2 years, it's because of blockchain technology and stablecoins getting payment to the farmers in Haiti to allow you to get the product from your grocery store and into your kitchen and fed to your families because of blockchain technology. So I don't think NFTs or the technology, it hasn't gone anywhere. Certainly you'll see some things that are sensationalistic, but when you see real world solutions being given the opportunity to flourish for problems that have been long-standing because of blockchain technology or non-fungible tokens, it really does make you go, wow, I'm going to start paying attention to what this means and where the next iteration of it is. Go with me on this. I was asked to participate in a fractionalized ownership of Brass Knuckle Films, which is Robert Rodriguez's action-based filmmaking company. I was, through Republic Crypto, asked to buy into a fractionalized piece of Brass Knuckle Films. And with that, I was able to submit an idea and a pitch to Robert Rodriguez for an action film. I would have never been able to fractionalize own a piece of historical history, this action film, even be a part of reaching out to a phenomenal director and producer like Robert Rodriguez. I'm proud to say that my idea, my pitch did make it to round 2. So we'll see if it goes. We'll see, ladies. I'm all up for this one. Let's see if it goes past round 2 and what that means. So I have to think a little bit outside the box for the next ones. When you say about ownership or NFTs or blockchain, the sky's the limit right now. If you want to spend tons of money on a JPEG picture, who am I to judge? We know people who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to be a part of a golf club. If you're going to buy a picture and it's going to make you feel good because you can and you're part of a community of like-minded people, that's awesome. What about the advances in technology? What about being able to own your own data when you go from healthcare practitioner to healthcare practitioner? What about the advances in AI and blockchain technology for us to own our own data? That doesn't sound as sexy as a cute picture and a community that you can walk into, but boy, how helpful would that be?
That, Julie, it's solving a problem. And having that access is my favorite word. And my background is money transfer and credit. I was part of the team that created a card able to transfer from one country to the next using a debit card, 2-card system and a ledger system. That was really ahead of its time. But to see that money being able to transfer so that this person in Haiti is able to get her mangoes is a solution to a problem. It's not whether it's gone or not, it evolved. Correct?
Yeah. In the case of the cross between supply chain and blockchain, the AgriLedger is one of those powerful examples of how product isn't rotting at a dock. It doesn't sound super sexy, but can you imagine being able to, in places where there aren't centralized banking institutions, people can prove that they own that vineyard or prove that they own that coffee, manufacturing place that people are going to get something. When the idea blows my mind, a lot of vineyards, once they sell that bottle of wine to a consumer, once that distributor sells that bottle of wine to the local wine shop, and then the consumer buys it, there's no tracking, or there's no way to come back unless you go back to your wine shop. What if you want that newest vineyard? What if you want to connect with your wine shop and make it happen? These micro communities pop up because of people being connected, like this, about that cute little JPEG on NFTs, knowing that we've got a company called Divin that's able to tokenize wine and wine club membership. Really, when you realize that if you're a jet person and you get a ticket, I am not going to be shocked when the airline industry turns away from paper ticketing to actual NFTs, the actual functionality of NFTs. So when you come back time and time again, the whole system could be flipped around a little bit and make people think outside the box.
That's wild. I mean, I'd imagine pretty male-dominated industry that you're in. I want to get back to the wine in a minute because we got some wine. You had us at wine, okay? Now you're talking our language. But tell us, how did you break through that glass ceiling? It sounds like you are a real mover. Let's just get it real. You are a haymaker throwing
Rainmaker. She might be a rainmaker.
She's a rainmaker and a haymaker, and we love it. So as a female, have you seen any obstacles around that? And then how are you kind of just tearing down any stereotypes about women in this type of work? You've got to be a pioneer, I would imagine.
Well, there have been wonderful ladies ahead of me that have really pioneered the space for women to step up and be able to speak. One of my favorite ladies is Lily Ledbetter. There's a great documentary coming out that has been hitting some of the circuits. You might see it soon on either streaming media. I am not a part of it. I'm not an investor in it, but it's the Lily Ledbetter story. She was a woman who was on the Goodyear tire line, and she was working just as hard as her male counterparts, doing everything that she could. In the end, I believe she's making 70 cents on the dollar for her male counterparts that were doing the same thing. What was interesting is in the arts, as an artist, I don't know that I felt any difference in the price range. If I sold out a venue, I got paid a certain amount. If I sold my CDs, I was paid a certain amount. If I went into a studio, I was charged a certain amount. So I don't know that I've ever really worked in a business where I've been thrust into a scenario where I have to work like Lily Ledbetter did at 70 cents on the dollar. Because in blockchain technology, about 10 years ago, when I started investing in deep blockchain technology, from cryptocurrency to companies built on it, No one asked my age. Nobody asked my gender. You might know from the name Julie that I am a female, and from some things I post that I'm a girl, if there's a picture of me that's there, but not one person in blockchain has said, you're worth less than a male counterpart. And I have to say, I love working in rooms of guys. Some of my favorite rooms to work in are really packed full of men. Wendy, Macy, we were in this room at Market Rebellion, RebelCon, 10X. We did one of our airplane events as an executive producer, and I helped curate high level of events. It's great working with men who have been in the saddle for a long time that trust us to walk into the room and share our gifts. I've never really seen any kind of a glass ceiling. I've always felt there's no such thing as competition within yourself. Am I going to get up that day? How do I feel this day? How am I going to make others feel this day? What do I want to get out of this day? That's the type of competition for me. I've always felt like collaboration was a much better C word for me. So I step into the room like that. Now, in the beginning, when people came into the room, do they think, who's this old broad coming into blockchain? Okay, maybe, but they didn't say it to me. And if they thought it, that's okay. Because eventually, if you feel good when you're around me, if you feel beautiful, if you feel strong, if you feel healthy, if you feel like you have fire in the belly, I want to remind you, I'm a mirror and you're seeing yourself. And I want you to feel that is you that you're looking at.
So much fire and knowledge in the Web3 space and a pioneer in all of that. I do want to touch on your latest event that you just had in the Hamptons. We're going to switch gears here because I know this just happened last weekend, and unfortunately I was not able to come of circumstances, as you know. But tell us about Hamptons Masterminds and what's going on with that. I know you had some charitable aspects to that. Tell us about what happened in the Hamptons.
Well, Wendy, one of the things I touched on earlier is that there are three pillars that get me really excited. When all three are in the room, there's just no stopping. It's important for me to elevate women's voices. I've always had a great group of girlfriends. I believe that you can always pull up another chair to the table. So let's keep adding to the group and collaborate together. So elevating women's voices, helping underserved communities have those tools that we have the opportunity to have. And then, is it making an impact, or is there some type of a contribution that's going to help potentially change someone's life? If those things fall into those chunks, then I'm all in. And that's what last week I fell into, because I started an entity called Hamptons Masterminds. Let me do a little backup. For 2 years, I ran Crypto Mondays, New York City. And as of December of last year, I made the decision. It's a volunteer organization that went from 35 active chapters to the 2 years that I was in it, 70 active chapters in 13 different countries and 3 different continents. Any given Monday, you're going to find a Crypto Mondays in the town you're visiting. I realized my strengths were on a more grand level, on a global strategic partnership level. One of the challenges I had with the Crypto Mondays when I did a pop-up in the Hamptons is people in the Hamptons weren't really ready to hear about blockchain technology, crypto, how it could solve problems. Their personal advisors were saying, don't pay attention. If you're holding 2.5% of your assets in something digital or future tech, now people are holding 10, 20% in their portfolios of digital assets with the new regulations and ETFs that have come out. I created Hamptons Masterminds to give a soft vibe to the Crypto Mondays Hamptons pop-up to help people understand that we can have a 101 conversation and not be afraid about AI. We can have a conversation about future tech. What if you have adult children that are already invested in the space? What happens to their assets if something were to happen to them? I work with this company called Vault 12. What happens to your digital assets? You're not going to assign them to someone who's going to help your will because you don't want to put it in a public forum. Your stuff is decentralized. So you have these institutions like Vault 12 who help keep all of your phrases and everything decentralized. You can choose upon your untimely passing or maybe incarceration, if that's your deal, then you can end up decentralized sharing your messages. These are a few of the things I wanted to bring out to Hamptons Masterminds, a series of thought-provoking events. And we do things like we talk about transformative weekends, we do retreats. But last weekend, you asked about it, it was called the Mindset Mixer. It was a group of 3 of us ladies that got together, and we wanted to have an evening that we felt was curated with personal growth, which it was. And we wanted to inspire people to make the connection with each other in the room. We wanted to people feel like they had elevated living. What do you do when you already have so much? How can you design happiness? So next level life was, what do you do with current tools? So we had Nitty, who you've had on the show before. He came, he was one of our speakers. We started with intention. with Lulu Gage. She did our sound bowls. We had John Nigerian, Mark Lepresti. We had arguably the top person at Coinbase, John D'Agostino, on stage. We also had Mike Chan, Nissa Amelise, who has a show on the New York Stock Exchange for Bloomberg, a fabulous lady, Muhammad. He has a company called Backpack, and it's an AI healthcare mental wellness for children. She became a CEO because she was looking for help for her son and realized that she needed to provide the solution. We had Pace Healthcare come and present. We had Northwell Health talk about AI and robotics in healthcare. We also had, and you've had her on your show also, Elsa Lepresti. She came in the 11th hour, and she was the moderator of our sports panel. I see your hat that you're wearing. We had Drivebox, a golf simulator outside, and we had President's Club Sports, who do high-end events around the Masters, the U.S. Open, and other sporting events. And we had these two power men on stage, and Elsa Lepresti was the moderator, and she knocked it out of the park. She was great. She's a podcaster. She has One Yard Line. She's a rising senior going into Lamont Preparatory School in New York City. So it was really an honor and a privilege to have a young lady like Elsa come up on stage and knock it out of the park.
I agree with you. We absolutely love her. And you'll have to go back and listen to her podcast because we were just amazed. It's great to see that there's people like Elsa, the next generation that are coming up, so eloquent, so mature, so smart. I wish I could have been there for that. She did a great job on our podcast. For those of you out on X and YouTube, go back and listen to Elsa because we're going to interview her now and do some future interviews with her to track her progress because she's going places she already is. So I do want to give the opportunity for the audience to ask some questions. Let's take a look around if anybody would like to come up on stage. Just raise your hand and we will give you the mic.
I see a question on X, if you want me to share that.
I don't know how to do that, but
Sure.
Okay.
Well,
Oh, is that
BT Badger,
texting it? They're texting
yeah,
it.
they DM'd me in X because they don't have BT Badger. You need to get the Chatter app. That's all I'm saying. It's with Chatter Social for sure. But the question was, who are some voices you're excited about right now? I'm really excited about builders who don't pitch. I'm really excited about people who build these ecosystems. I'm investing in people who are creating things with sustainable AI, digital identity, tokenized real estate, and any type of privacy tech. I think that that's something to watch out for. Those are the kind of voices that I'm interested in, and especially if they come from underrepresented communities. So I've always believed that we need diversity at the top. When I meet someone, if she's sitting next to me on the plane and she has a training business for beauty salons, I'm going to talk to her about helping her streamline her business. Because if you're going to take Visa, Amex, Diners, Cash, American Express, Discover, why not take the idea of stablecoin and cryptocurrency with the new regulations that are coming out? It's much easier now to be able to do something like that. And there's tons of tools to be able to do it. Those are the kind of things that excite me. Those are the things that would excite me.
Yeah, I guess so. One of the things that you had mentioned to me earlier was a charity that you had sponsored. It was Dress to Impress. And tell the audience about this one. It was so good.
Dress for Success is a global charity. It is specifically for women to get back into the workforce. And Dress for Success, it's a mission not only to allow women to have clothing when they go into their work environment, but it also helps unemployed women get back into the workforce. In the Brookhaven, Long Island, Hamptons area, they have a mobile van that goes around and helps women understand for career training, helping with building resumes. How do you feel confident when you walk into the room and shaking the hand and doing a good interview? We'll do mock interviews with them. Being able to help and empower women get back into the workforce was the charity that we chose last week for the Mindset Mixer. We want all women to thrive in as many businesses. We can donate clothes to Dress for Success. They also take cash donations and volunteers. If there is a Dress for Success in your area and you have a business or a business acumen or mind and you want to share that with your local community, they would love to have you help mentor the next wave of women coming back into the workforce.
That's so neat. I love it when big movers and shakers like you give back and pay it forward. There's just something beautiful about that. Wendy, I cannot see if anybody else has a
I see
question.
James. I see James has his hand raised. James, do you want to unmute and ask your question to
Hey,
Julie?
Wendy, it's Jim Sullivan.
Jim Sullivan. Okay, great. This is our crypto. He's one of our crypto experts. He comes on and occasionally educates us about crypto. Jim, what question do you have for Julie?
I don't really have a question. I want to start with a big hell yeah. Like, having somebody on who really is telling the story that's been people have been trying to tell for 5 to 10 years. And I was on maybe 4 months ago as the new administration came in, and I was saying you're going to see many changes in the crypto space. And you've seen it. And what you're starting to see is real world adoption, especially with stablecoins. And those are going to lead down the path to NFTs, which is exactly what you were talking about, Julie. It's happening, and it's really a fascinating industry. I was going to say we're probably the same age, probably some of the older people in crypto, but it's just fascinating when you start digging your fingers into what's happening. The question I always get, and now, I don't know if you and I have an answer, but we're not seeing real world technologies quite yet. Stablecoins are there. It's changing the payment processor systems quickly. Visa and MasterCard are using a lot of it. We need to see DeFi solutions. We need to see real NFT solutions. Your comment about having your driver's license as an NFT can start your car and open the door of your house. It's going to happen. So there's a question at the end of all this. When do we start seeing real world adoption? What could be the first thing that we could point at and say, wow, that really made a difference in my life? And thank you, by the way. This is really fascinating.
My answer is today on the show. Let's just say right now, to really be transparent, we're here. It's happening. Everything being back in that band, like, I'm not going to sell out. People saying, what are you going to do when you make it? Oh, really? Is making it a destination? No, making it is an adjective to getting there. Wherever that is, that's the journey. We are right in the middle of the journey, and we get to be the people who actually make those paths. And with the idea of regulation that's come out, some of my true crypto hardcore people don't like the idea of regulation. They like to stay in the decentralized world. But what we mean by decentralized is you have centralized banking institutions where there is one or a tiny group of entities that make the decisions within that centralized banking institution. Or decentralized is not one person. It could be governed by a group in something called a decentralized autonomous organization. It's actually open source. So I think it's not an or, like, when are we going to see it, or when is it going to show up, or it's and right now. So, and where are those and solutions? I have people in my life that are true normies that when you can buy a house or you can buy a car with crypto, I'm going to pay attention that it's real. And you can do that now. If there's portals that are there. But for someone who wouldn't go in and do the things like you and I have done, that we put it on ledgers, that we put it in safe places, all these things with institutions that we have that's available. There's MetaMask did a partnership with MasterCard. They gave the first 100 people one of those platinum type cards that are just gorgeous. I was invited to participate in their test program, which was, it allowed you, it started out as let's say, almost like you put money in, so it was like a debit card. So MetaMask, you put a certain stable coin within it, and then you could spend that in any institution that picked up MasterCard. So I went to my local dress shop or the local restaurant that didn't take cryptocurrency. I'm using a credit card like a debit card, but this is stable coin that I put in. Now, the next iteration of that is being able to borrow against the equity of the crypto that you have that's being held in it, much like staking a coin. So I think as ETFs and people are investing more and learning more about technology, what works for them, like me, I mentioned I like to have impact movements. So the idea of being able to give charities cryptocurrency as a form of donation is phenomenal for me. For rectifying payment solutions, knowing that back in the day, it would be 60 to 90 days for me to get payouts. Now with my clients, I take stablecoin, I'm paid within a second. That's it. And depending on what layer it's on, if you want to go really down deep, where is the tipping point? I wish I had that, because then I would really be a thought leader in perhaps that I could invest.
I'm not sure if we have another question, but I have one. I don't know if anybody else is thinking the same thing. I'm not as versed in it as some of the audiences, that's for sure. But I feel like part of the reason that tipping point we haven't hit it yet is it's so polarized. You have people that don't believe in it, that don't think it's going to go anywhere. But then you have the other side that believes in it so much they're hanging on to it and think it's going to skyrocket. They're buying it thinking it's going to go to this point and this point. Therefore, they're not using it as commerce because they're hoarding it. They believe so much in the future of it. What are your thoughts around that? I mean, you got the gray area in the middle that people are willing to buy the house or buy the car or exchange it for goods and services. But I just feel like the majority of people that believe in it so much, they're just not willing to spend it right now. How do we get past that?
Well, that's a really good question. There are different parts of crypto that people use for a store of value, like Bitcoin. Many people might not want to spend their Bitcoin. Some people might want to spend Ethereum, another form of cryptocurrency, because it's something that allows them to buy a little bit more. It's not as clunky as spending your Bitcoin. It's almost like, would you want to spend the equity in your house, or do you want to keep it and hold on to it for the next generation? Now, you might need to borrow against the equity in your home, and you might do a HELOC, right? And there are institutions that are starting to do that now with people who have bought Bitcoin and have a large amount of equity in it, and they're able to borrow against that equity, which is a very interesting play in crypto. But there are other types of currency that do allow for people to come in and use it as an actual commerce tool, like stablecoins, USDC, USDT. And so now I can do a one-to-one translate. So I might have $1,000 or $5,000 that I put into USDC. And then when I need to buy something quickly with that type of stablecoin, I already have it in my marketplace, almost like a debit card. And then I can use it and send it and get my commerce transition within mere seconds. So it's there and people are using it. We just, again, are you going to spend your gold chain or your gold bar to buy at a restaurant? Probably not. But if you had extra change in your pocket, some dollar bills, you might use that at the restaurant to pay for something. So it depends on what kind of currency. And it's not just one blanket type of crypto scenario. You have multiple uses depending on what you have. If you're someone who likes to diversify like me, you have a little bit here and a little bit there. You can play around in the market and have some fun.
But guess what, Macy? We have several hands up. We have Vashawn, Sal, and Lisa. So Vashawn, go ahead.
It's really great. I just wanted to say hello to Julie. I hope to see you around. I think this app could really benefit from the way you lead with heart and where you're at in the subject matters. I haven't heard anyone talking about it, and it would be wonderful if we could see you again. I also wanted to suggest something. I'm just curious what you think about it. A lot of people think that NFTs are dead or that it didn't work or it's going away. And I actually just believe that what happened, and that's with the metaverse too. Like, so the entire metaverse will be built, on the basis of NFTs and everything else in our life. And we're going to get there, especially as, in my personal opinion, it's going to happen, but especially as Generation Alpha starts to hit the 16, 17, 18 year, as they're coming to age as a generation, because they're going to grow up inside of metaverses. And it's really going to be a business case for companies to start to scale the product. So this is what my thought is.
In this weather,
Hey, just your mic is open, sweetie.
I'm sorry.
So what I believe is that ChatGPT came out of nowhere. No one knew that it was coming. It just popped up. I think maybe the government knew. It just came out of nowhere, right in coordination as the metaverse and NFT started to scale. So I really think that's what's happened. I was just kind of curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, I think this is all just part of the footprint, and it's up to us individually to decide where we want to take it. For me, I've just got my personal ethos that makes me happy. I don't think I'm going to change the world, but I do know that I'm going to, at least one person at a time, make them feel like they can really make a difference and make a change. So when I meet these hackers and these folks that are builders that are doing things and not just pitching products, I get really excited. I want people, as it gets closer to solving problems with true solutions, I think AI in healthcare is going to be a big breakthrough for all of us. And privacy laws around that, very interesting conversation that comes up. Companies that have clarity and conviction, what are your conviction plays in investing? I love the technology behind NVIDIA. I love Render. I think Render is really interesting. You can actually trade them on Coinbase, and there might be other DEX tools. One of my favorite new DEX tools is Value. They take instantaneous real-time networking information from X and all these other places, and they are probably one of the most instantaneous DEX tools. If you're someone who's looking to trade, that's a little piece of alpha for you. Always back up all of your entities with Vault 12 because you need somebody to protect you in case of your untimely passing. These are all solutions that come out of problems that are there. I'm excited about those. If I had a crystal ball, I'd tell you, but I think we're in the middle of doing it, and I love that.
Well, thank you, Bashan, for that question, and Julie for the answer. Sal, you have your hand up. What's your question for Julie?
Wow, I'm just blown away, Julie. Good to see you again. You must have done something amazing in the Hamptons because I had two separate people reach out to me and tell me how amazing it was and that there was a potential for syndication coming along. Congratulations on your event. You're just blowing me away with all this crypto and everything you're talking about. From our experience, we're seeing it start to get accepted as a store of value. And when the government start to accept the technology as a store of value, that's when I believe we're going to start to see it become more mainstream. We're already being told that we can borrow against our crypto to do business loans, to transact. So pretty soon you're going to see a lot of companies that are publicly traded start to get allowed to hold crypto on their balance sheet and be able to borrow against it. Once all this starts happening, that's where I see the blockchain technology is going to start taking off. It's going to take over in all facets of our life. But I feel like it had to be proven first that it wasn't a fad.
You brought up a good point about knowing something. There are a lot of biases in AI and chat GPTs or any of these AI versions if you use them for information. But if you're not sure about something, remember, there could be a bias in it. So pay attention and go to chat GPT and say, what do you think? Give me the pros and cons of each one of these things. And then it's called DYOR, do your own research. Doesn't mean that it's fact. It's just my opinion. Right? If I tell you that I'm investing in something because I like it and because it fits into one of my three pillars. I know my conviction plays. Sometimes I'm a winner, sometimes I'm a loser. If I see something that people are going really ham in on, I'll go into AI and say, tell me the pros and cons about each one of these things. Then I start asking questions. And it really is okay to pay attention. I noticed up front in the crow's nest with Julie Sue, I noticed Hamptons Masterminds was in the crow's nest. Really easy to find me. It's really funny. There are a few Julie Lambs out there. If you land in the wrong Julie Lamb, I would like to think we're all pretty cool. But eventually you'll find me in some of the socials that are out there. So Sal, I might have interrupted you. I think you had a question.
I just wanted to tell you how inspiring it is to hear you and how knowledgeable you are. Wanted to give you a compliment. That was all.
Thank you, Sal. If you want to listen, it was a few short years. 10 is nothing in the scale, scope of a long time. In the 2 years of going to every single Crypto Mondays I can get my hands on, there's a Crypto Mondays in your town. Just show up, meet other people if you want to know. And again, it's just one form. Once I got into understanding about DeFi solutions, I actually started a regular TradFi account and started investing. Nobody ever taught me. I didn't have to. And now, Macy, recently with our friends, the Nigerian brothers, and learning about options and short trading, who am I? I'm now talking about options and short trading. Here's your little DeFi girls going all TradFi on you.
I knew you were
I
going to
love
love
it.
it, friend.
I did want to say real quickly, and Sal, thank you for your comments. Sal actually has like over 10,000 ATMs and is politically involved in quite a few different things and offering options of Bitcoin at some of those ATMs. So you can catch his podcast. We had him on
Yeah.
recently.
So thank you, Wendy. That's what I was getting at. We can do Bitcoin transactions at our ATMs. You can go to one of our ATMs, take money from your digital wallet and trade it for cash. We're not seeing people do it because nobody wants to sell their Bitcoin. So we're not seeing it as a means of transacting yet, but we do see it like a store of value of gold, like gold. And widely accepted. The technology is sound. It's just interesting to me because I'm like seeing what the .com was happening early on where people got, started doing websites. In the beginning, people didn't even think like, what is that? Why are you messing around with a website? Now you can't even be a business without a website. People get a website before they even have an idea. So I see that it's going to be that same way, how you're talking about with the NFTs and the blockchain. It's going to be the way we're going to transact I would say 10 years max.
So, Julie, this is Redden, and you are absolutely a fascinating guest. I'm kicking myself because over 10, 12 years ago, I was playing in some of the highest stakes poker games in the country. I was at a game literally in, I think it was 2014 or 15. I watched a guy pay off a $60,000 loss in a game with Bitcoin, and I didn't know what it was. I'm sitting to the guy, now this is 10, 12 years ago. And they were so far advanced, these younger high stakes poker players, they're all very wealthy now because they invested between the tokenization, the NFTs, which is their world. And people don't understand. And Wendy and I are probably 90% of our money now is invested in some sort of cryptocurrency. mostly Galaxy Digital. Jim Sullivan's been a great influence. People don't realize this is going to, within the next 5 years, when you buy a building or a house, it'll be tokenization. How long do you think it's going to take for people to get on this bandwagon? This coming. China's way ahead of us. A lot of these other third world countries are way ahead of us. The U.S. is just catching on. And now even the banks are accepting crypto for their balance sheets. People don't realize that this is an alternative, just like gold, or maybe even bigger than gold, because the dollar is going to go down. They can't keep printing money. Crypto, if you could explain the halving and explain to people how crypto works, just in the Bitcoin world. I love Ethereum, but we own a fair amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Explain to the people what halving means and how important that is to the future of what this is going to be.
Well, I want to be mindful of the time. It's 8 minutes past the hour. We're in here. Maybe we do a whole nother, and we can bring in tons of experts if you want to go super deep into the crypto space, but Rhett, you bring up some really good questions. I think the most important thing is just start where you are, right? Learn where you are. Hearing someone say no one's spending their Bitcoin, but maybe they are spending their Ethereum. Maybe they are spending their Solana. Maybe they are trading out some of the other altcoins that they have. Bitcoin isn't the only one. It's one of the true ones that's truly fully decentralized. There's only two really true decentralized if you want to go deep down the rabbit hole, but let's keep it very surface right now for our, friends that are here that are curiosity seekers. If you're curious, start paying attention. Don't FOMO in. Pay attention. Look, have your conviction plays. There are, again, there's any given Monday and any place in the world, you'll have a Crypto Mondays. You can step into those rooms. We're in London, Paris, Dubai, Lisbon, Dallas, Denver, Austin, Florida, all over New York, 70 locations or anywhere. So you can step in those rooms and meet them. You bring up a good point, Rhett. I think that we really could do a deep dive here. People wanted to know about halvings and where it goes and when is that tipping point. If I had a crystal ball, I'd tell you all where it's going to go. I use it. And it's allowed me the opportunity to have faster, closer, easier access in the creator economy than I've ever had before. I've been able to build a life and a business with other people who are participating in the space, being able to have Coinbase up on stage, or they had a Polygon, or we were just at the Stellar Development Foundation last night for Crypto Mondays, New York City. We call it the first Monday of the month is Crypto Mondays Wall Street. And we did a Women of Wall Street version. And we had almost 75 people in the room that wanted to know, just like you did, Rhett. And we had a fabulous speaker, Kelly, and she came from the TradFi space. And now she works with a family office that is heavily invested in digital assets and future tech because they can. Someone like me, I don't know that I could afford to put all my eggs in one basket. So I'm pretty diversified, half real estate, half digital assets. When it comes to tax time, if I'm doing really well in my crypto assets, I can write some of that off in my depreciation on my real estate. Sometimes these decisions to make investments are great to have professionals help you and then have someone guide you on what your potential tax ramifications will be with the new regulations and making those short-term, long-term cap gains. It's not the Wild West anymore. It's a public ledger. So you have to treat it like a taxable occurrence. How can you and your diversified portfolio offset some of that? I leave that to the professionals. So maybe another show.
We're going to have other shows. We
For
had
sure.
Lisa with her hand raised, but I think she left the room. Now we have Ivan. We'll take this last quick question.
Yes, I know,
Last-
Julie. Go ahead. Ivan.
Hello, lady.
I think it's at Michael. Can somebody mute everybody, our tech team, and then we'll start back again. Also, I did want to welcome Jonathan Bing and Cindy Stumpo. Thank you guys. They hold the biggest rooms in Chatter, and I wanted to give a shout out to them for coming on board to hear our speaker today. Go ahead, Ivan.
Hello. Thanks so much. I know you're wrapping it up. I'm one of Julie's biggest fans. I've been stalking you for the last 4 some odd years or so, kind of like a little monkey on a tropical island in Aruba or something. And so I send all my regards to you all and her. Thank you so much for everything that you all are doing for the space and for educating the general public and the people that are curious and answering those questions. My personal project is American Crypto Academy. I'm in it for the education. I have passion for educating and training and developing people so that they can grow to their potential. So I know we're wrapping it up. I just wanted to offer another perspective as to what I've listened to you guys talk about for the last 40 minutes that I joined a little bit late on Twitter. I have to download this app on my iPad, figure out how to find you guys. And here I am. I made it. So with that in mind, with regards to NFTs and Metaverse and everything and AI and blockchains and cryptocurrency, I think this is a great thing for all of us as individuals that, to Julie's point, empowers us, removes all the blockades to where we start making the decision. And these tools are only going to make our lives easier in all ways. A lot of people are afraid of AI. I embrace AI. I'm very spiritual and I listen to some of the various guides or channelers or whatever it is. I stick by my beliefs. And this topic has come up. Everyone says if we use it the right way, it is a tool that everyone else uses in multiple dimensions and multiple beings. And not to make this a sci-fi call, this is all about finance and growing. My first introduction to Rainmakers, and it's really stimulating. Thank you so much. I'm not well familiar, but I'll learn more. And thank you, Julie, for introducing me to this. As far as NFTs, I think they're part of the future. I envision every single airline or travel industry using NFTs. It eliminates any sort of ability to counterfeit anything. Cryptocurrency, to the gentleman, and I'm sorry if I don't have your names that spoke earlier. Yes, it's going to eliminate the necessity to keep printing money, where we still have store of value and it's limited, and that value is going to grow. So we're in this world to where, like, early internet, which is what brought me into the space, is early internet. Let's not miss out again. I missed out back then. I was too young. The creativity will shine between what AI is making possible. Sure, there's going to be some downsides to it with regards to it's going to become too much of AI and nobody wants that. But that's what's going to bring humanity back into senses, where AI is going to become a trend. And then we're going to start appreciating our own creativity as individuals, where that's going to become more valuable yet again. So don't fear AI. AI is the tool for us to use. If we treat AI right, AI will treat us right, and it will help us glorify us and take us to the next level as a civilization. And don't fear the unknown. It's all about having the vision and creativity and taking advantage. Now,
Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ivan. I know that we probably have a lot more questions for Julie. Where can people find you, Julie? We hope they're going to find you right here on Chatter. We're hoping that you'll start coming over here more often with your community and having some more people added to your community. Where can we find you?
Oh, it's easy. You know what? You can Google search Julie Lamb NFT. You're going to find me. I'm on LinkedIn. There's a few Julie Lambs. It's me with the red behind me. There's a few Julie Lambs. If you connect with the different Julie Lamb, Mazel Tov, have a great time. I'm sure she's a fabulous person. And if she's not, you can tell her I said I want her to be. LinkedIn is always great. However you want to find me and make a connection, you can find and easily.
Well, thank you, Laura LaPointe. We've had some rocket chat. Cindy, something. Lauren LaPointe sent a rocket chat, and Nelson Apega. Thank you guys for that.
At the last conference, I walked away in awe of two women, Julie Lamb and Cindy Stump. I just got to spend an hour with the Julie Lamb. I mean, I cannot wait to have you back. And then Miss Stumpo, thank you so much for our rocket. That means the world to us. We really appreciate it. Nelson, I saw you launch one too. Wendy, who was the last
And
one?
then Lauren LaPointe, she's one of the biggest contributors on this app. So shout out to Lauren LaPointe.
Wow.
And this is our way of monetizing. Isn't that cool? Julie, you got to see it. We call it Rocket Chats here. But I wanted to round out this particular podcast and say thank you for everyone for coming in. All of our VVIPs, and all of our community. Without community, you have nothing. So hopefully we're able to expand the community on Chatter. And also, thank you for William and Harry for sponsoring this episode and all episodes of Rainmaker. We'll see you next week on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Unless it changes, you'll see the note. Instagram. Cindy Stumble.
Cindy Stumble.
I'm clutching my
Thank you,
pearls, Miss Stumpo.
No, we appreciate you, Cindy. Thank you. And
You're a smart lady. All the women on here are very smart, but you said something. I can't remember the word right now. When you said the other Julie, muzzle top or something. What'd you say?
Well, if the other Julie is,
Forget a word that you used. Hold on.
I said, yes, I probably said Mazel Tov because we want to celebrate all Julie Lambs. There's a few of us out there.
Class lady and very smart.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
What a night.
I know. It's been good. Julie, I know that we have taken up enough of your time. Thank you so much. I want to thank our tech team, Nigel, Dan, Winters, Paupres, for all their help streaming. You guys over on Twitter and YouTube, please come back over to Chatter and join our live audience on Tuesdays. Julie, thank you so much. And let's take a quick picture, guys. Everybody keep their eyes open. Sounds good. Okay, thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Oh.
Follow us on YouTube and watch all the other episodes.